Dot, Snell, Sharp, ECE, and ISI. What are these things? Basically, we see an ISI marking behind our Indian helmets. It is a marking of a standard. It basically tells that this helmet is ISI approved. So, what are these standards and certifications, and what are the legal certifications in India? In this video, we are going to discuss all the standards and certifications and basically safety ratings for helmets sold across the globe. Let's start with Snell. There's a foundation called Snell Memorial Foundation in US. It's a non-profit, non-government organization. Snell basically provides a helmet certification. It's a non-mandatory certification, mostly used for competitions and racing, and it is not mandatory for roads usage, and it is basically a favored or a recognized certification, and it is preferred certification because of its vigorous testing over helmets. They do all types of testing on helmets. Now, Snell is a US based organization, but that doesn't mean only US helmets can be certified with Snell. Any manufacturer across the globe can basically apply for the Snell certification, and their helmets will be tested by Snell. They will have to send some samples to Snell, and then depending if the helmet passes all the tests that Snell performs on it, then the helmet will be basically approved and the helmet will be marked by the Snell certification. Because of the way Snell performs their tests, Snell certification is actually trusted by like many of the people across the globe. And even in India, you will find people buying helmets from Snell. Mostly these helmets will be a little expensive than what you get in India. Now, since we are talking about US companies and organizations, let's continue with DOT. DOT basically stands for Department of Transportation, the US Department of Transportation. Now, DOT itself does not approve the helmets. What DOT says is manufacturers can basically, like, DOT has a criteria, and manufacturers know that criteria, and manufacturers can self test their helmets and try to fit into that criteria, and they can label the helmet with DOT certification, and the same helmet when goes in the market, DOT basically picks any random samples from the market, basically those samples which are gonna be bought by some riders, and DOT performs test on those samples, basically impact test and penetration testing, and like many multiple tests. And if the helmet fails in those tests, then DOT can impose a fine up to $5,000 on the manufacturer. So there's this case because of which manufacturers, if they are using this DOT certification, then they need to be sure that the helmet fits into the criteria of DOT certification. Now, in case of Snell, you will find few helmet manufacturers such as HJC, Shoei, and LS2. Basically, few models of these helmets are certified by Snell. And in case of DOT, you will find most of, basically all of the helmet manufacturers in US such as AGV have DOT certified helmets, have most of their models certified by DOT. And even in India, you will find few manufacturers such as Royal Enfield. They apply the DOT certification sticker over their helmets. Then let's go to Europe. In Europe, we have this ECE certification. Basically, ECE stands for Economical Commission of Europe. Yeah, this is a certification body, of course, and they have multiple certifications. Basically, all these standards that you see, all these organizations that you see have multiple certifications, and these certifications basically expire with time, and they then renew their certifications based on incidents and based on data that they gather about helmets and the incidents that happen with people. Depending on that, the certifications are changed. So we are talking about ECE. Basically, ECE is applicable for Europe, and it is a widely accepted certification standard. And in ECE, like if you are riding in Europe, then your helmet needs to be approved by ECE. Any helmet manufacturer first gets his helmet approved by ECE, then it is launched in the market, unlike DOT. Now we come towards Sharp. Basically, Sharp is the second newest certification in our list of certifications, and the newest certification is basically FIM, but FIM is not applicable for riding on roads, it is mostly applicable for racing events and competitions. Talking about Sharp, it was manufactured in 2007, and Sharp is basically a standard in UK. And few people think that Sharp is the best helmet certification standard, and Sharp performs all the tests that all these other bodies perform as well. It's just that the passing criteria actually differs for all these certifications. Sharp is similar to DOT in one way that Sharp does not approve the helmets directly. Those helmets are actually bought in the market, and then any samples, like any helmet that is being sold in the market, Sharp basically picks 7 helmets of a particular model. 32 tests are being done on this model, basically a particular helmet, and this is basically done for 7 times. And if the helmet passes in all the tests, then the Sharp certification is given to the manufacturer for that model. Now there has been some criticism as well regarding Sharp certification, and you can find it on the internet. Sharp has also won 2 prestigious awards, definitely in UK, regarding this basically helmet certification and road safety transport. Let me tell you why DOT and Sharp basically do such thing, that they don't directly approve those helmets. Because the helmet manufacturer, if gives any sample to the certification board, these sample might be the best samples, and the board will test them, and these samples will basically pass, this helmet will basically pass the criteria of this certification boards, and then the certification board will give a certificate to that helmet model to the manufacturer, and the helmet will be sold in the market. But what if the standard decreases, or if the manufacturer decides to do some alterations in the helmet model to maybe reduce the price of the helmet, or make it less expensive to prepare, like to build the helmet? So to avoid this, basically Sharp and DOT do this case that they actually go into the open market and they simply buy samples of a particular helmet model. And this is actually a good way of testing helmets. Even in India, even regarding ISI, actually we don't do that thing. We actually hand over the certification first to these manufacturers, and then the helmet is bought into the open market. So that's actually a good thing, and that's how DOT and Sharp certified helmets became more trustworthy and more reliable for people. People started considering them. That was the thing. And the last testing board, helmet testing board, is actually ISI, that is Indian Standard Institute. All the helmets that are manufactured in India, most of them have the ISI mark if they are being sold in India. And you will find some helmets which are maybe cheap and they don't have this ISI standards, and those are actually considered illegal in India. Now the tests performed by ISI are impact absorption, resistance to penetration, rigidity, dynamic test of retention system, audibility test, retention test, opening angle test, flexibility of peak. So if you even search on the internet, you will realize that these are all the tests that all the safety standard boards actually perform. Most of the tests are performed. So you can consider that all the safety standards that you see here are actually safe, because those are made for people, and those are actually region specific. That's why the criteria of these tests actually changes according to the region. Now in India, actually government mandates Indians to buy and wear ISI marked helmets only. If you are not doing that, then it actually means that you are breaking the law. In such cases, the worst thing that can happen with you is your helmet might get confiscated by government. You will notice certain brands like Royal Enfield have multiple certifications done for their helmet models, like ECE, DOT and ISI as well, because their market in India or in other countries as well is considerable. But for brands like AGV, India is not a place where you can sell premium helmets at premium price in considerable quantity. Also, due to import taxes and all, the price of the helmets actually go up, and that's why people find those helmets actually very expensive. So that's why AGV mostly does not try to get an ISI certification for their helmets. In India, there is much less awareness of safety, and that is why the safety standards are also such that any economical helmet might fit into it. Of course, you will see that ISI has so many tests, it is doing so many tests on their helmets. It is the criteria, basically, it is the, you can consider the passing percentage, passing marks for a particular test for a particular helmet that actually changes for each country. Like DOT will have a higher criteria, whereas ISI is performing all the tests, but it is performing with low criteria, and that's why helmets in India, like cheaper helmets, are matching up with the ISI certification. Also, you will see that ISI has some restrictions, basically requirements as well. It's not about test only. The helmet should have a weight of 1.2 kgs maximum. Previously, it was 1.5 kgs, but maybe for brands like AGV and few other brands which do not have ISI certification, maybe for them it is not possible to get their helmets under 1.2 kgs, and that is the reason they do not go with ISI certification. It is the requirements where these premium brands actually exit the show. Now in India, if you wear a non-ISI certified helmet, a DOT certified helmet, or an ECE certified helmet, basically a Western certified helmet, then it is totally up to the traffic police to stop you and fine you a challan, or he can also leave that. Basically, if he is literate enough to understand these certifications, DOT certification and EC, he might let you go. But in case if he is illiterate and he is simply following the rules, you might get caught up. Also, the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways simply cannot allow these Western certifications, because if it does so, then our ISI certification will basically become irrelevant. Like everyone will follow the DOT and ECE certifications but ignore ISI, because ECE is a global thing, right? DOT is a global thing. It is a very strong need that Indian people should actually stop purchasing some helmets, some cheap helmets from some roadside helmet shop, and they should start purchasing some premium brand helmets. And if you take proper care of your helmet, it will be a one time investment. You just have to change the visor, and there are basically a lot of things that comes with these helmets. So if you do that, your safety will also increase, and if these basically definitely will buy the ISI standard helmets. So in that case, our ISI standards can also become more strong. It basically shows that Indian people are ready and Indian people are considering better helmets, better safety standards. So ISI basically can be pushed further ahead. So this was all about helmets and their safety standards and certifications. If you like this video, then please consider subscribing my channel. And thank you so much for watching. See you in next video.